Hello and welcome to Texans Talk Money. I'm Kyla, your host and a peer financial coach at Texan Smart. Every episode, we will be joined by another peer financial coach from my office, where we will be navigating all the roads on how to handle your money as a college student. So sit back and get your wallets ready to be Texan Smart.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Texans Talk Money. Today, I am joined by Adeline. She is one of our other PFCs in the office. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. So, today, we are going to be kind of touching on something kind of similar to when we had Eric Smith on last time, but it's a little bit more narrowed down to just college, and I just think it would be kind of good to talk about this because we're going into finals season and the summer and just the end of the year, and I feel like it's a good way to just end this little section of Texans Talk Money and the semester. So we're going to kind of just be going over, like let's just say one day you're getting ready for finals and then your computer just stops working.
Oh, that's a disaster.
Yeah, no. One of our PFCs in the office had that problem, and she's like, I don't know what to do. Luckily, our office had a computer that she could borrow, because otherwise she was like, I can't do anything.
Shout out Cambry, we love her.
And Kaiten. Okay,
and
so
Kaiten.
More than one. So we've been struggling in the Texan Smart office with our tech. It's fine. So that's just kind of like, you sit back, you look at it, and you're like, well, I guess life happens. Like, I just had a little fender bender yesterday. Life happens. I gotta get over it. I'm a big girl. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of one of those, like, life doesn't ask for permission.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens at the worst possible times sometimes too, or when you're having the most amazing time of your life.
Yeah.
And then it all comes crumbling. And you're like, okay, I got too happy about that. I got too happy.
I have a personal story with this. So I'm in a sorority, and I had my sorority formal, and I parked it at my friend's apartment, and the next morning, my battery was completely dead, dead. And we tried to jump my car to restart it. Completely dead. I did not, think that I'd be having to spend $300 that day to get a whole new battery.
Yep.
But, life happens.
Yep. Things happen. Can't always control it. And so that's just kind of one of those, you're probably like, why are we talking about this? This is a financial podcast. Well, like Addie just said, she just had to spend $300 that she was not expecting to spend. And that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I have plenty of friends that, they have an emergency where they have to run home and they don't have money for gas.
Yep.
And they're calling their mom, they're calling their dad. They're like, okay, I kind of need to come home for this, but I don't really have the money to buy a tank of gas right now because it's kind of expensive sometimes. But that's just kind of one of those, like, you got to be prepared.
Exactly.
You got to be pre-prepared.
Exactly.
You don't want to be prepared late. You don't want to have to be reacting. That's one thing that Eric Smith said last week, or on the last episode, is you don't want to be reacting. You want to be proactive and be able to use what you have. Use your resources that you have. And so that's kind of why it matters. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be wealthy to be resilient. Like, you don't need to have loads of money to be able to bounce back. And an emergency fund isn't just your savings. It's that little peace of mind that you get when something does happen and you're like, oh, but that's okay because I have money just for this reason. And so that's just kind of what this whole thing's going to be about. It's going to be about being prepared, not scared. I kind of like that saying. Like, was petrified yesterday, and I'm like, it's okay. It's fine.
It gives you a peace of mind.
It does. You're like, I have a reaction plan, and it's going to be great. I know exactly what I have to do now, so it's fine. Mm-hmm. And so what does that kind of look like for a student in college? Like, what do you think, Addie?
So always being prepared, and you don't have to save, that much money. You don't have to have, thousands in your bank account or in your savings account. But maybe, when you get a check or something from, your job, setting aside, $5, $10, $20, as much as you can. That 100%. Way you do have that emergency fund just in case your car breaks down and you have to spend $300, or if your phone breaks, or if you run out of groceries and you need some more groceries and it was so last minute and you didn't budget it out, things like that definitely happen. So I think just kind of starting to save like little bits of money at a time, so that way you have that emergency fund just in case.
And it doesn't have to be titled as your emergency fund. I know that's one thing that's kind of scary for a lot of people. Like, I don't have money to have an emergency fund. I have a savings. And then you're telling me I need to have an emergency fund on top of my checkings and savings. Your savings is your extra money that you're putting away for future use, which can include emergencies, whatever it may be. If you have something that pops up that you need to pay for, that's what your savings is there for. It's not only saving for the future, but it's saving for when life happens.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be just like money that you earn from like work. It can be from like birthday cash, tax refunds. You know, if you want to just like have a side hustle and sell your old clothes or books, that way you have that money set aside rather than spending it all at one time.
Yeah, that birthday one's really good because I know sometimes I get money and I'm like, what am I going to spend it on?
Exactly.
Like, I still have $50 I can spend. What am I going to go spend it on? Put it in savings.
Exactly. Or graduation money.
Oh, yes. I know when I graduated high school, I got all kinds of money. I spent it, and I kind of wish some of it I would have saved.
I spent all of it on my dorm because I was like, I'm so excited for college. I want my dorm to look like this. And I spent all of it, didn't save any of it. Wish I did because, you know, I had those instances in college where I lacked money and I needed it.
I've had those instances lately, and my mom's like, suck it up. You got to figure it out. You're a big girl now. And I'm like, all right. And so I know when we have events and stuff, people are always like, well, where do I even start with saving money, whether it be an emergency fund or savings in general? It's just kind of one of those, it really depends on what you're fiscally able to do. You don't want to be set yourself a goal of, I don't know, $800 when you have a part-time job that pays you like minimum wage of $8.50 an hour.
Exactly.
You don't want to set the goal of $800 if it's not applicable to you or it's an achievable goal, because then you're just going to feel worse about it. You want to feel good about the goals you're setting. So a good place to really start, especially for college students, is $250 to $500, kind of in that range, because that's something that when your parents send you money, if you are someone that doesn't have a job, you can set up aside some of that, and that can build up kind of fast. And then if you do have a job and you're getting paid pretty often, and you set aside $50 each paycheck or $100, whatever you make, that adds up pretty fast. And that's where you can then be like, okay, I've saved up to this. Well, now I'm going to set this goal and keep adding to it. That way you do have it for when you want to buy yourself something nice, because you need a new something. Like if you need a new computer because you've had yours since you were in like middle school and it's finally giving out, you're like, oh, well, I've been putting aside $50 every time I get paid, and now I have enough to at least pay half of it if like my parents want to pay the other half, or I have enough to buy a new one.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree.
100%. And then $1,000, especially like if you're about to leave college, is a really good goal, or as your second goal after you've already hit that halfway point. But you definitely don't have to start there. It seems like a really big number, but it's one of those that we always talk about. A little goes a long way.
It's
less
okay to
is
start
more.
small.
Less is more, 100%.
It's
if
okay
you really
to
think
start
about
small and then continue growing and like reaching bigger goals and saving more money. I feel like, I don't know, it's a way to like test yourself, but like you don't have to start big.
Yeah, and it helps you learn that responsibility for when you are completely financially on your own after you have graduated college. It teaches you, even just the little habits are really helpful and really make a difference when you get to the point where you're maybe having to pay a mortgage for a house, or you're paying all of your own insurance, phone bills, like all those things. It really helps out a lot when you already have a foundation set for being ready for something like that. And so that's just kind of one of those, like we touched on that for this, like how to start saving. The small increments of money can mean a lot really fast. And then using apps like, if you're with Capital Bank, so using Capital One cards can help out. Chimes save when you spend, so you can scan your receipts and stuff, and it will save you money. I have not started using those yet. I am planning on it, but I know we have some people in the office that use them, and it may just be $20 that they, get back, but that $20, you put that in your savings, and it's going to help you out.
Yeah, for sure.
Same with Acorn.
Yeah.
If you do shares and everything, it's a really good way to get into investing. And that money that you get from investing, the money you get back, put into your savings, and you have it there for when
you need it.
When you need it.
Yep.
When you're not expecting an expense to come up.
For when life happens.
Of course. And then where do I keep that money? Because that's another thing that some people are like, well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You go to your bank, you say, I'd like to open up a savings. A lot of the time, when you do open up a bank account, they open up a savings and a checking. And if you have an app, you can see you have like 2 accounts. And one will just be like a router number, but you can go in and change the name to be like your savings account, and that's what it is. And then you have your checking. And so you can keep it in there. Or there's apps like Ally, SoFi, and then the Capital One 360 where you can kind of just put it in there. And then if you're someone who you're like, I have that savings, if I see that number there and I don't have money in my checking, I'm going to want to pull it out and go spend it.
Yep.
Well, if you label it something that's not just savings, like savings sounds like you're saving it for when you don't have money.
Yeah.
But if you label it emergency use only, that can really be helpful.
So
Because
be
then
like,
you're not
don't
gonna,
touch
because
it.
then you're gonna look at it and you're gonna go to tab and you're gonna be like, it's not an emergency though. It's gonna be okay.
Don't touch it. It's only for emergencies.
You may shed a tear. You may shed a tear or two, but it's
Yeah,
gonna be fine.
it's
It's gonna
okay.
be fine.
It's okay.
And remember, it is not about having a perfect emergency fund. If you do dip into it every once in a while when you really need to spend money, it's okay. But let's be better.
Let's
It's gonna be
refrain
okay.
and only use it when you really need it.
When you really need it. That is, we're gonna like whisper that when you go to bed at night, so it just sticks in your head. You know what I mean? And that way, it's there before the disaster hits. Because if it's not there, and you have completely lost your computer, somebody stole it, you never know what's gonna happen, and you need to buy a new one or you need to rent one. You're not SOL. You're not SOL.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then what do I do after it's already happened? That's the next thing.
How do I respond to this?
So let's kind of do this little step-by-step breakdown. It's pause and assess, and then evaluate your options. So when something does happen, take a second, take a deep breath. No matter how big or small this issue may be, take a step back, take a breath, and just assess the situation. Look at it, be like, this happened. I have this set in plan, or I don't have a plan, so I don't know what to do next. And then figure out what your solution is going to be, your reaction plan. So it may not be a right now emergency. Kind of ask that question. Is it a right now or is it a later thing? Right now would be my car battery's dead and I have somewhere to be.
Right.
A later emergency would be a cracked phone screen.
Right.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not that like pronto you have to fix it because you can survive with your phone being cracked.
Yeah, you can survive with your phone being cracked as long as it's still usable and it's not like when I shattered my phone and there were shards of glass coming off. It's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's like a crack up in the corner and it's very little, maybe don't go spend the $100 that it's going to cost you to get that tiny corner fixed when, 2 weeks from now, your car battery could go out and you're like, I only have 200 of the 300 I need to buy this car battery.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of
Yeah.
at a loss. And you're like, well, now I don't know what to do because I didn't keep that money.
I feel like you just kind of have to assess the situation and see like what's more important and kind of just like base it off on how much money you have at the time, especially for like a broke college student.
Yes.
You're not going to have enough money to go and fix your screen. Like me, I lost a pair of AirPods and I was trying to decide, do I buy another pair of AirPods because I can't survive without them? Or do I put that money towards something else that could help me? Luckily, I refrained. And I eventually found my AirPods. So, win-win.
Exactly. You don't always have to, especially when it comes to something like that, if you lose something, give it some time because it may just show up.
Exactly.
Or you may need the money for something else. Or it's something you're like, it's not necessary. I don't need it right now. It's not like I need these for a class or I need these for my job. So I can refrain from buying it and save that money for a later date. And maybe once I save up enough, I can buy a new pair of AirPods if I still haven't found mine.
Yeah.
And so, like, just assessing and making sure you know whether it's a right now, I need to fix this because I'm going to die and it's terrible, or I can wait because it's not a necessity. It's not going to, affect my everyday lifestyle if I don't have this item. And then after that, you're going to evaluate your options. After you decide, is it a right now or a later? Use your fund if you need to, or if you have one. If not, you can borrow some money from someone and pay them back once you do have the money, or you can borrow, if it's, like a calculator. Let's say you don't have a calculator for a class. You can borrow somebody else's until you have the money that you need to pay for it.
Also, the math center, you can, like, rent a calculator.
Yes.
And it's for cheap. You don't have to pay for, like, $100 calculator. You can rent it for the whole year.
For the whole semester.
Whole semester.
For only a couple. It's not that much.
It's not that much money.
It really isn't. And same with computers.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that your computer's having issues and you can get it to a shop to get fixed, you can then go rent one and not have to go buy a brand new
or
computer.
the library. The library has
so many.
Yep.
And I never see people using them unless they're in there for a class. And I don't understand because I have so many friends that are like, my computer wasn't working or my iPad wasn't working, and so I couldn't do my assignments. I'm like, there's a whole building literally meant for that.
I think they have, like, upstairs, like, laptops that you can borrow
as
well. It's
they
not
do.
just
They have them
desktops.
right on the first floor. Mm-hmm. You just have to go in and you have to pay for it, and you can just pull it out and you're good to go.
Yep.
And same with just asking. If maybe you don't know if those options are available to you, so go to your school's library, your offices, maybe ask a friend if they have one that you can borrow just so you can get an assignment done, or even ask a professor, can I get extra time on this because I have to go get a new computer or I have to fix my old one and I'm having to go get one to rent.
Yeah, most of the times they'll work with you. Mine have been pretty lenient.
A lot of professors are going to be very understanding, especially now that almost everything's online. They're going to be like, I get it. Tech stuff happens and you can't always, be fully prepared for it and know in 2 hours my computer's going to die, so I can't finish the assignment that's due in 4. So it's one of those, you're not always fully prepared and you can't always be fully prepared, but that's why you want to be able to have those savings. So if you are able to go and make that purchase or repair, you can do that. Or if you need to go and rent, you have money saved for that too. And then ask if it has to do with job loss and you're having to pay for rent or you're having to pay for tuition, something like that, whatever it may be. If you are stuck in a pickle and your financial aid has been delayed, but you have to pay for this class, you can go to your university's financial aid offices, and a lot of them have emergency grants or funds. And so you can actually get like a short-term loan to help you pay for that. And then once you have the money, you just pay the university back and it'll be like you never had it. And so it's, it's not something that a lot of people know about. Mm-hmm. I didn't know about it till I was researching for this episode, and I was pleasantly surprised about it.
Yeah, it's a great option.
And then try quick little gigs. We were talking about this. The going and selling your old textbooks, mm-hmm. selling clothes you don't wear anymore, selling shoes, whatever it may be, or even if you make something, mm-hmm. sell some of that.
Small business,
maybe
side hustle.
Maybe if you have the Cricuts that cut out stickers and stuff to put on shirts, maybe sell those a little bit. Or if you make buttons, a lot of people around here like their little homemade things that are nice and cheap and easy, but also get you money.
Yes.
Even if it's just a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah.
I love that saying here. And once again, remember, emergency mode is about options. Stay calm and start listing your options. Mm-hmm. Don't wait till it's already happened to figure out what you can do. Make sure you have an idea. Okay, I know that I have this office I can go to, or I have the library that has computers that I can rent out if my computer goes dead. Because if you're not, pay attention when you're going through orientation, or pay attention to your teachers during syllabus week when they're talking about the different offices on campus that can be helpful if something happens, that are free to, at your disposal every single minute of the day. Because, they understand, that you're a college kid and you don't have all the money in the world. You're no Bill Gates or anything like that, who can just, whip out $100 bill and be like, okay, give me a new one. No. I think if I did that, I'd cry. I'd shed a couple tears. I hate breaking big dollar bills. It's just one of those,
I get you, girl.
And so let's just go over a couple survival tips.
Some resources.
Like I already said, your campus probably offers more than you realize. Tarleton offers a lot more than I realized after I got here and I went through T-Week and everything. And sometimes even off campus, there's a lot of resources that are open to college students, like credit cards that are really easy for students to get and are meant for students. So their interest rates are fair, their limits are fair, and you're not going to, be putting yourself in huge credit card debt, stuff like that. Your savings accounts can have rates where if you leave it in there, you build on it and you actually earn money from leaving your money in there. So kind of, along the same lines of all the stuff that may be on a college campus when it comes to renting stuff out. You can rent out computers, you can rent calculators, you can actually rent textbooks too.
Yeah.
So let's say you get into a class and you didn't realize you needed this textbook, but you can't buy it right now because it's $115. But you can rent it for a week for $30, and you can afford the $30. Go ahead and do that, and don't dig yourself a hole with $115 to buy the book.
Yeah, and a lot of the reasons, a lot of college students run out of money so fast is they like to go out and eat food. They like to eat food.
Yeah.
But Tarleton has the Purple Pantry, which is an option to help you, get some free swipes to D-Hall. They have the pantry where you're able to grab, snacks. So that's always a good resource as well.
Yes, they have snacks and then even stuff to make meals if you're in the dorms that have kitchens, which I think is really awesome. Or if you're off campus, it's still at your disposal to use. Same with the meal swipes. And it's free of charge, you're already paying for it. So you just have to sign up for the meal swipes and you just go swipe your card and you'll get the meal swipe every day. And which I think is really awesome. And same with kind of the health and mental services. You're already paying for that stuff. Don't spend your money to go to a hospital unless it's super serious and you're like me where you have to go to the ER for your issues. Try the health center first, and if you need to, they will refer you to the hospital, and they'll be like, we can't really take care of that here. You're gonna have to go.
It's a little bigger than us.
So use what's not gonna make you spend a bunch of money first. I know sometimes you're like, well, it's like a school nurse. They're just gonna give me a mint and tell me it's gonna be fine. They're not.
They can test you for things. They can test you for
stress. Which
test
I think is awesome.
Yeah.
You can go get tested for free. But if you went to, there's some places you go to and they're like, okay, that's going to be $20. And you're like, hello? I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dying. I just want to make sure I was okay. And so, use your free resources or your cheap resources before going to the expensive stuff because that's no fun. And just, remember, you're a college student. Everybody understands not every college student has, money flowing out of their pockets. Most of us are just now learning how to be financially responsible or are struggling with the financial independence and are spending far too much money. Whatever it may be, there's always going to be someone in your corner, and a lot of the times it's your university, believe it or not. I love Tarleton for that reason. There's always someone in your corner here. So just remember, if you need something and you don't know if there's an office to help you, you can look it up and you can find a registry for all the offices and what they do. And all the numbers, emails, whatever it may be. So all of that kind of wrapped up in one is just when life happens, your tech breaks, emergencies, stuff goes a little bit sideways, you can be better prepared by having that action plan set in place, being prepared to assess and, choose the best option for you at the moment. and that you don't need the perfect plan. Just a wee one. Just a wee one.
Just a small one.
Just so you're not like, oh my gosh, so you don't feel like you're like pushed in a corner and you don't know what to do with yourself anymore.
Exactly.
So a little bit now equals less stress later. A little now, a little less later.
Just a little $5 in your little fund, it'll build up over time. You know, you won't regret it.
No, $5 isn't going to hurt you right now. You know, not going and getting
a Starbucks drink or a Dunkin'. You can spare that $5. You spare the $7.
You can spare it to put in your savings and have for later and not be crying for cash later on. Because I've done that far too many times when I was in high school. And I'm like...
Me too. Over the past 4 years here, me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That is what we're here for. We're here to help you out. We are here to help you out. And we are learning as well. So. Yes. And we're just going to kind of have a little challenge this week. I'm going to keep this little thing going. So, like I said, set aside just $5 to start your quote-unquote Life Happens Fund. That's what we're going to call it. Set aside $5, $10, whatever you want it to be. And save your school's emergency contacts in your phone, whether it be like your UPD or the health center, you know, mental health counseling, whatever it may be that you might need when you least expect it. Save that there. Same with roadside assistance. Tarleton has a full-on roadside assistance number. Save that in your phone. You're going to need it one day.
You probably will.
You're going to need it one day. And one small move at a time equals one step closer to being ready. So always make sure you're ready. You never want to be caught off guard or in the dark. Let's say in the dark, because if you're caught off guard, that kind of happens. That's what life happens. But you don't want to be in the dark when it does happen.
Right, exactly.
So I really hope that everybody has an awesome final season and everybody does really good on their exams. And I hope you all have an amazing summer, and we will see you next semester. And remember, be well, be ready, and be Texan Smart.